It's 6 o'clock on Monday, the 18th of November, 2019. Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Oliver, bringing you the only daily update of the local Albanian news translated into English. Up first tonight, the United States has been directly involved in the debate over the construction of the 5G network in Albania, urging the NATO member to stay cautious. At the conference on NATO security challenges versus technology, the appeal came directly from U.S. General James Jones, who said it was up to Albania to decide to whom to entrust this project, highlighting the fact that China has its own strategic goals in this situation. As Albania prepares to update its network to 5G next year, it is imperative for its leaders to decide who to trust. Albania must remain an active and committed member of NATO and be sure to join their 5G network with those set by NATO. All these digital technologies and developments that China has will give it a very powerful loop where 5G can serve as a fifth pillar, said Jones. The U.S. Chargé d'Affaires in Albania was even clearer and reiterated that the message sent to China and other countries must underline that some things are not for sale in Albania. I have said that Albania has stated that some things are not for sale. Freedom is not for sale. I certainly appreciate it very much, she said. Fatmir Mediu guaranteed to abide by these conditions during the working breakfast, stating Albania will be one of the first countries to sign a memorandum of cooperation for the 5G network. The Speaker of Parliament, Gramos Rucci, reiterated the failure of opening up negotiations, while the EU's skeptical approach, according to him, damages the European Union and NATO. Meanwhile, the Chinese company Huawei is rumored to be the implementer of the 5G network in Albania, but has denied signing off on the agreement. Up next tonight, with 3 votes against and 2 in favor, the Audiovisual Media Authority has overturned the new draft law, which is part of the anti-defamation package. Through a press release, it was clarified that the Justice Ministry's proposals underline the freedom and development of online news media and run counter to the principle of media self-regulation. The government's proposals undermine the freedom and development of online news media. The government's proposals override one of the most important principles of self-regulation in print media, while international acts, and in particular the EU Directive on Audiovisual Media, encourages regulators to prioritize this principle, said the AMA. 3 members of the AMA then presented arguments related to the need of strengthening online media freedom, including the freedom of thought and the right to information through increased professionalism, self-regulation, and media education. The draft is now expected to be discussed on November 25th at the Media Commission. The draft law provides for the regulation of complaints and corrections by the AMA, as well as the penalties applied through the Electronic and Postal Communications Authority of Albanian law. President Ilir Meta and his Kosovo counterpart, Hashim Thaçi, spoke at the International Conference on Religious Freedom today. Despite the fact that Meta and Thaçi are both not on the best of terms with Prime Minister Rama regarding the Constitutional Court in Balkan Shëngjin, the Albanian head of state highlighted the situation in the region, underlining the battle with emigration, but also the Syrian war camps. We all have national, regional, and international duties. We must be more engaged in fighting poverty and improving the standards of living. Terrorism and religious extremism come as a result of poverty, and that we hope for a more prosperous future, and it disappears due to misgovernance. The government should draft laws for the protection of its citizens' interests. We are facing a high level of emigration. We shouldn't accept Europe's demographic winter as expressed by Pope Francis. This phenomenon has not only affected us, but our entire region. Therefore, we must act to face it together. The sons of Albania should return to their homeland for a better and safer life, declared Meta. The ambassador for religious freedom in the State Department and Parliamentary Speaker Gramos Rucci urged politicians to take the example of religious harmony and find a path to dialogue. The Albanian Speaker of Parliament, while attending the conference titled Religion as an Instrument for Peace, did not spare any criticism against the current political matters, accusing its members of not being very tolerant. He stressed that Albania is the right place to focus on such sensitive topics, stating, "I think we are at the right place to talk about religion as an instrument of peace. Religious harmony is our national pride. Religious ideas and values predominate over the affiliation and membership of their institution. This has helped believers find common ground with other faiths." Politicians believe more in the party than in the democratic system, Rucci said. Meanwhile, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić blamed the ignorance that has characterized the Balkans on the disputes between regional countries, stating, "Our greatest ignorance has led us to senselessness and endangered peace. Most Serbians do not know that one of Serbia's saints, Angelina of Serbia, was in fact an Albanian noblewoman. So we have to continue these talks since a major precondition for dialogue is the freedom of religion." Meanwhile, President Hashim Thaçi raised concerns about the situation in the region, since according to him, without security and stability, everything would be called into question, including religious freedom. Well, if you're a driver on the streets of Tirana, you may have noticed the quality of roads in the capital leaves much to be desired. This is a view that's being echoed by many of the city's residents. Drivers often encounter intersections without horizontal or vertical signage, the lack of which in many cases justifies the workings. Arjan Lako, an engineer in the field of infrastructure, declared that a road should not be opened until all the work is completed. Otherwise, it must be provided with the necessary signage. Another problem that Lako mentioned is the abundance of road cracks and potholes, which can lead to accidents. But what is the situation on the streets of Tirana? Well, after crossing Ruga Elbasani, you may notice that it lacks the necessary horizontal signage. Nor is there signage either horizontally or vertically to indicate the Uzbarish area, which connects to the new ring road. It seems that the municipality of Tirana has begun the workings on as many sites as possible, but has not taken control in ensuring that required standards are met. Next up tonight, the documents found in the vehicle that prosecutor Arjan Doi was traveling in had nothing to do with the stolen files at the Durrës prosecution. This was confirmed to RTV Ora by the investigative group, which has been investigating the attempted assassination of prosecutors Arjan Doi, Aleksandar Laho, and Andi Maloku since November 1st. The same sources say they are still awaiting the results of the DNA test, which have yet to be handed over to the prosecution to help establish the profile of those who happen to be in the vehicle suspected of carrying the perpetrators. It is also alleged that the investigators were not assisted by the security cameras capturing the objects seized along the highway so as to identify, the perpetrator's car and the time they were pursuing the prosecutor's vehicle. This was due to the poor quality, both on the highway and in the private facilities, even though the law on safety provides for the provision of high-quality cameras. Furthermore, the two injured, Arjan Doi and Aleksandar Laho, are expected to be released today from the Durrës Regional Hospital as their conditions have improved, allowing the prosecutors to bring them in for questioning. From the investigation so far, only one suspect and perpetrator, Redian Rahya, who has remained in police custody, is expected to be heard on November 20th at the Serious Crimes Appeal. And finally tonight, Thursday, November 21st, marks 1 year after the acting Prime Minister Ramush Haradinaj decided to increase customs tariffs on Serbian and Bosnian goods from 10 to 100%. The policy that was triggered by the negative campaign for Pristina's lack of recognition around the world has in effect damaged reconciliation between neighbors. The head of Kosovo's Chamber of Commerce, Berat Rukici, said on Monday that during this period, Serbia has been hampering the development of Kosovo's businesses for a number of reasons. The introduction of a business opinions in the Kosovo-Serbia agreement is supported by local businesses, said Rukici. Regarding Kosovo's business environment, it is said that the situation in July, August, and September is satisfactory for the country's businesses, and there is an increase in credibility while the unemployment rate remains stable. The barriers that businesses face in Kosovo are primarily related to overtime payments, unfair competition, and the lack of funds. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you so much for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Ora News, thank you and have a good night.